Welcome back to another episode of the Crime Scene Insiders. I'm one of your hosts, Angela Davies, and I'm here with my co-host, Dion Watson, and we're going to take you back under the barrier tape.
Welcome back and a massive happy Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas!
Woo! We love Christmas time, especially now we're not working the CSIs anymore.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So we hope you're all enjoying the festivities and some lovely food. And thank you so much for tuning in during this period. What we thought we would do today is do something a little bit different and talk about the realities of working as a CSI over the festive period, because it's a bit of a strange time really to be dealing with the things that we see, isn't it, Ange?
It can be, yeah.
So can you remember any times that you worked over the festive periods where things stood out for you?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's the truth. It's just terrible. I am one of the luckiest CSIs going because I didn't work at Christmas.
You didn't work at Christmas?
No, I dodged that bullet every year and I don't even know how. Now, don't get me wrong, I did work, of course, around the Christmas and New Year period, during Christmas and New Year, in between times, but I didn't work a Christmas Day. I was so fortunate. So the first year that we started, the rotas had already been set up. And then the following year, the rotas got changed and I moved depot.
Yeah.
And so I slotted into somebody's rota who wasn't in for Christmas. And then
Yummy.
And then another year it just fell lucky for me. And another year I'd had surgery and I was off over that period. So I actually missed Christmas Day. Of course, I worked Christmas Eve, I worked Boxing Days. I did work around the festive period, but some unlucky buggers, it falls for them on most days. But yeah, I was really lucky.
Yeah, you were, if you managed to avoid all of them, both New Year and Christmas.
I think I might have done a New Year. I probably did do a New Year's Eve. Certainly a New Year's Day. It's a strange time of year to work. Things change and become a little bit more challenging, I think, because the workload increases at times and different periods.
Yeah.
The weather is much harsher, so the job becomes a little bit more technically challenging. And also, I think that it sometimes is a bit more emotionally charged because people are up, we've got the decorations up. Some people struggle financially and they put everything they have into trying to make Christmas the best, and then they get burgled just before and they've got nothing, that kind of thing.
It just heightens everything a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Did you work Christmas Day? Do you recall?
I did. So I only did one Christmas Day, so I was also very lucky.
We were so jammy.
We really were
Our
jammy.
Our ex-colleagues listening to this are going to be effing and jeffing. They're going to be swearing about us.
Yeah, I only did one. And I remember being on with another colleague and it was the Q word, which you are not allowed to say. So we got in and there was nothing on the log for us to do. So we were like, don't say it out loud, because as a CSI, you're not allowed to say the Q word quiet, are you, Ange?
Yeah, for those listeners that don't know what it is, it's quiet. All our frontline responders will know. Yeah. And that's right across frontline response, isn't it? I've heard paramedics say it, nurses say it, police say it, CSIs.
Yeah. You're not allowed to say it out loud, are you?
Quiet. We hope it's not quiet for you all today.
Oh,
brutality.
Brutal. Yeah, so I remember we came in and there was absolutely nothing on the log, and we were day shift, so at 7 o'clock in the morning start, and was just so grateful there was nothing on. So we had brought in some snacks and things, because you've got to try and keep your cheer up as well, haven't you?
You're still Christmas
away
Day.
From it's Christmas Day, you're away from your family and friends, you know, they're going to be getting the Christmas dinner. So we'd agreed to bring a load of party bits in. Of course, you've only got a microwave in the nick, so it has to be microwavable party food.
Yeah.
We got not one job all day.
All day?
Not one job. I couldn't believe my luck.
Was it luck though, or was it really slow? Did you not get
Well,
bored?
well, I was on with Francine, so
Oh, okay.
me and Francine had a scream together.
I was going to say, you'd not get bored on with Frano. No way.
No, so we had a right good laugh, and it was nice. We sat down in the lab. Over that period, it does get frantic at times, doesn't it? So you get a
It does.
backlog of stuff, office admin bits that you just don't get the chance to do. So we had a sort out. Well, we enjoyed our little Christmas snacks, and that was it. And then that was me off. I finished at 4 o'clock. I think the nice thing about that is as well, though, that means somebody else's Christmas isn't being ruined by something horrible happening either, isn't it? So it's quite nice for us not to be ran off our feet, but it's also quite nice knowing that in that area nothing bad was going on at the
No major
time.
crime or anything awful going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm quite bemused because we thought we'd do a podcast about what it's like to work over Christmas, but we didn't actually really work it.
We did do a lot though, like you say, I've worked to
In the
New
run
Year
up.
as well, and
Yeah.
we've worked a lot in the run up. So in the run up to Christmas, did you find there was any increase in crime or change in crime type?
Usually there was an increase in burglaries, I found, in our area.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
me
often
too,
people
sadly.
put lovely Christmas trees in the windows, but they also start stocking presents underneath them, and people can see in easily enough. And often there's lots of stuff out and about visible. I think there's also an increase in car crime.
Yeah,
And actually, over the festive period, I think there was an increase often in assault and domestic violence, usually because alcohol intake increases. And we've talked about that before on the podcast, like whenever alcohol's involved around bank holiday weekends or holidays, these kind of crimes seem to increase. And that's no different over Christmas and New Year, sadly.
no, like you say, I think that actually intensifies again over Christmas as well because you've got the additional strain of, like you said, financial worries people have at that time. And you usually find that families are getting together, and although people might like getting together, sometimes there's strange relationships, and you kind of all forced together. And then when alcohol becomes involved in that situation, it just is like absolute fuel on the fire, isn't it?
Explosives.
Yeah.
I remember walking in, I think it was a Boxing Day, and there'd been a murder one Christmas. And so the staff had been tied up with the murder, and there was still stuff to do down at the scene. But because people had been tied up with the murder, there was also a backlog of other crimes, and it was a bit bonkers. And then I had to go up to the murder scene and do some additional work. We were looking for actually blood in snow, which is interesting because you think about recovering it and how best to
Yeah.
recover it. Because often we'd swab, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And you don't want to dilute it. But of course, it's already in snow. So the dilution's potentially already occurred.
So in that case, for our listeners, what would you do?
I took an e-tube, a vial full of the snow and blood.
Yeah, that's what I'd do with it as well.
Yeah, and then get it in the freezer as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And
So that
you
was an
meant
interesting day.
it sounds it. And did you have one of what all faithful foot marks in snow? Footwear marks?
Not at that scene, but I tell you what, in the run up to one Christmas, the snow was really bad. And this was when I was quite a new CSI and I was working up in the countryside in Northumberland. And I got called out to a farm. And three or four kids had broken into an outhouse and it had a quad bike in it, and they'd nicked the quad bike along with a number of other things. And there was just footprints all over this field, like
Oh
literally
no.
everywhere. And I was like, where to even start.
Yeah. That's the nightmare, isn't it? Footwear marks in snow.
Well, yeah, particularly when there's so many. So you had four different people, four different tread patterns, and then several different paths.
Oh wow.
And I suppose that's the other thing, really, isn't it? It's the technicality of the job does change because you have things like footwear in snow. Your camera batteries don't last as long. They
Yeah.
die much quicker, they drain faster in the cold.
Yeah. Spare ones in your inside coat pocket to keep it close to you
Keep
and
it
warm.
keep it warm, yeah. Our battery drains much faster in the cold. When things get damp, trying to powder for fingerprints becomes technically much more difficult. So the whole season does have an impact on the job.
It does, doesn't it? That winter time as a CSI outside is challenging.
I do not miss it. Do
Not that
you?
bit. No,
I
no.
love being a CSI, and I tell you, when you're in the summer and you're out in your van on your own, doing your jobs, going from job to job, best job in the world.
Amazing.
Gets to winter, I'm out. I really disliked winter, but I don't like winter anyway. I don't like the cold. I don't like the damp. So being
No,
out and about in it and then trying to work in it and
it's
being
awful,
cold, it's
isn't it?
awful. Yeah.
And then especially some of the locations you have to go to, they can be quite challenging getting your van in and out of. I remember on 2 occasions getting my van stuck.
How did you manage that?
Oh, I remember one. I'd went down this street and it was right on our border with Durham. I was out that way. I'd had to go down this back alley, and then the sat nav was telling me to turn down this little cut between the houses. So I did. What I couldn't see because it was thick of snow is actually that was a path. That was not a road. So I got the van there, and then I looked and I thought, this does not look okay. So I tried to move the van out. It was stuck because underneath that snow was mud. And thankfully, the police officers were still at the burglary that had been requested to come along to. And they came to help us. And I remember this one police officer, oh, I can still see her face today. She came to help and she was pristine. She had like beautiful white blonde hair tied back, not a hair out of place. I don't know how she was looking like that, but she looked amazing. Not for long.
You
She
put paid to
came,
that.
she was helping push at the front of the van. And as she pushed, my wheel span and it flicked all of the mud all up her and all over her face and her hair.
Oh, Merry
I felt
Christmas!
I felt terrible. The male officer who was partnered with her did
Couldn't
not
stop
find
laughing.
he was buckled, absolutely doubled over, laughing his head off at her. She was just stood there like
Let's face
yeah,
it, though, in that job, you could be covered in much worse things than mud.
exactly. It can be
I,
challenging, can't it?
yeah, I burnt a clutch out around Christmas time as well. I
Oh
was
no.
The weather was so bad, it was so icy that we were locked down basically and said that even if anything came in, unless it was murder or major cat, we had to stay in. But a burglary had come in, it was kind of just round the corner, and I was like, oh, I can make it just round the corner, surely. And it was one of those things again where there wasn't much on the log, and I'd cleaned the office and sorted my desk and did some equipment sorting, and when you're looking for things to do, made sure statements were up to date, exhibits were all like logged and stored. So I've been plugging away at this stuff, and I was like, oh, it's just round the corner, I'll go to it.
Yeah.
It was up a hill. It was a
Oh,
really big mistake.
oh no.
So I turned at some traffic lights and that kind of went straight into this hill. And the van, it was a little old Ford Transit, and
Yeah.
it had nothing in it. So I'm trying to get up, and I thought, oh, what's that burning smell? And then I thought, shit, that's my coach. And then I
Oops.
kind of just slid back down the hill a bit and thought, how to get out of this one?
And how did you?
I really burnt the clutch out and got to the top eventually. I wellied it.
And the van had to go in for repairs.
Yeah.
Oh God. I think I remember which Christmas and winter you were on about there, because we did have a really bad one, didn't we? Where they just locked us down, and like you say, we couldn't go to anything unless it was major. I remember I was out with our friend Kerry, and we'd been again over at the Horton area, and we were coming back the A690, and there's an area of that that is just absolutely treacherous. And every time there's bad weather, there's problems there. And I remember they were trying to get police units over to stop the traffic and try and help people move because it was so bad. Well, we were stuck in that. We ended up having to put the high vis on and get out and help people move the cars. So we were absolutely soaked. You had people in rear wheel drives trying to get up the hill, and it was just hellish. So after we managed to help a few people get moved on, thank God the van actually moved. And that's when we all got locked down then. And it was like, yeah, nobody's going back
Nobody's
out.
going out. So you turn from CSIs to traffic controllers.
Yeah, fit the
See,
traffic.
we come in handy, don't we? CSIs.
We're
We can help
versatile.
with all sorts.
Yeah, it's a interesting time. Like I say, I did do a New Year, and that was hellish again. I did the New Year's Eve, but I was day shifts over them. So the New Year's Eve wasn't too bad. I was finished by 4, so before most
Yeah.
people start boozing and partying. And then I came in on New Year's morning, and the log was horrendous. It was just full of serious assaults. There was lots of sexual assaults and rape reports in.
Yeah.
And it was a real heavy start to the new year. Thankfully, there was a few of what in that day because we all went out with a lot of jobs, and quite a few of them were jobs you didn't know how long you were going to be there for either, because there
Yeah.
were serious assaults and things. I think I went to 2 straight away at pubs that had been closed down, and one had an outside area as well attached because it had kind of happened in the pub and then into the alleyway outside.
Oh,
So it was a get straight out the door because I think we had some snow that year as well. So it was an awful one and it needed dealt with ASAP.
do
So you
what
walk
you
in the
can.
office and you're like, Happy New Year! Quick hug to everyone. Now go.
Now out. Get on the job. There's plenty to be done.
Yeah.
It's always a strange dichotomy, I think, because you have all this festive cheer and everybody's happy and partying and having a great time. And then all we see is the downside to that partying and the misery. I remember, I think it might have been between Christmas and New Year and the run up, there was a party in a pub and somebody had been glassed and seriously injured. So I'm traveling up to the pub. The pub was still open, and I'm saying we need to try and get it closed down. But you walk in, and everybody's got tinsel on and in Christmas
Aw.
outfits, and everyone's like, "Merry Christmas!" And you're there, like there's blood everywhere, trying to close the scene down and manage it, or at least get them into a different
Yeah.
area so you can do your job. It's just strange, isn't it, to be in that party atmosphere, but actually what you're there for is really quite dark.
Yeah. It is really strange. And you were saying before as well, you'd done like a Boxing Day. So you've had that day at home with family, and then you come into a busy Boxing Day. Like, how did you find that switching from family celebrations and the home side of it to then coming into that sort of work?
It's a good question. I don't think it's something I've ever really thought about because
Mm,
you just do it. I mean, some
yeah,
of these days for us are just like another day. So
yeah,
it doesn't
that's
really
it.
matter whether it's Christmas or New Year or Easter, or you're there to do your job. So you have your cheer, and that's your home family hat. You can put your home family hat on and have your Christmas cheer and enjoy yourself. But then you put your work hat on and you go into professional mode and you
It's
know
that
what you're going to be
detachment
dealing
again,
with.
isn't it? That
Mm,
professional detachment again that I think you have to have, because if you don't, that would just be too much, wouldn't it? Particularly at this time of year, I think.
well, you'd be a right miserable bugger, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
For everybody
you
else
would.
around you.
You would. You would. Or
I,
you'd be an emotional wreck as well, I think.
yeah, I think some of the burglaries I found really difficult because people do struggle at this. There seems to be a lot of pressure on people at this time of year to spend, spend, spend. It's become really commercialized. And some people don't have that luxury and they save up all year. And then
Yeah.
what they have sometimes is they don't have a lot, but they're happy with what they've got. And then some bugger comes in and burgles them.
Yeah. Burglaries at that time of the year are horrendous, aren't they? They're bad any
Yeah.
time.
I'll give you an example, and this is not in CSI days, this is just recent. So there's a charity near us that work with community children who don't have very much or potentially in care. And this cafe basically put tags on a Christmas tree, and then you go and select a tag, and then you go and buy gifts and leave it back under the Christmas tree, and it gets dished out to kids in the community that don't have much. So I've gone in to select a tag, and I'm chatting to the waitress, just talking about how it's a nice thing and the charity that they work for and whether they do it each year, that kind of just chit chat about it. And she said that people must have got wind of it, what they were doing, and they'd been burgled, and somebody had basically broken in and stole all the gifts that had been bought by the community for underprivileged kids.
That's
so I
awful,
was heartbroken.
isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was just awful.
Because it's such a lovely thing for people to do, and then for someone to just go in and do that's awful.
And that's the kind of thing you see more and more of this time of year. So you see a lot of good stuff and some of the best of humanity where charities get involved, people do things for the community, I think there's more community feel around this time of year. And then at the other end of the scale, there's that end of society where it's not about community and they go burgling and taking what people have worked really hard for all year, actually.
Which is hard to deal with, isn't it? Particularly when you see the people it affects as well and how distraught people can be. It's a violation anyway, any time of the year. But when you've got those challenges on top, and like you say, people have saved all year, they've put a lot of hard work into that, and then it's just gone like that.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
I did used to struggle with the burglaries more because there was such a significant increase. I do remember one job that I went to, and I'll never forget because I was nearly sick.
Oh no.
Again, this
Sorry,
was over
listeners.
I know this was over the Christmas period, and it was family had been out to a local pub. There was a festive party on, and then too much alcohol as usual. Two blokes start fighting, and then one got stabbed in his thigh.
Oh.
Now, I didn't get called to the scene. It had been done the night before, but the next day I had to go and photograph injuries. And so I had to go to the hospital, and this guy was in quite a bad state. And the stab wound was so bad, and there was so much swelling, it was so open that they couldn't actually do surgery on him. They'd had to pack it and put ice around it and try and reduce the swelling before they could operate. So there's just this massive open stab wound on this bloke's thigh.
Oh,
now,
God.
For anyone that knows me, I am not good with blood or injuries on living people. I could never be a nurse or a doctor. And my family always used to say, you'd never be able to do a crime scene. You can't stand the sight of blood. It's so strange. If somebody's dead, I'm absolutely fine. But if they're alive, it just turns my stomach. So I go to the hospital. Here he is. He looked poorly. And then the nurse came and took all the bandages off for me to photograph. So, of course, I photographed him, like identity shots, photographed the whole body to show his leg wrapped up, then showed it. Did our usual identifying shots, long, mid, close range, while it was bandaged, and then kind of unbandaged. So she unbandaged it and like unwrapped it, and this wound was massive. And I was stood over him, looking through my camera, and of course you can see in a bit more detail through the camera lens sometimes, and I could feel myself rocking backwards and forwards. I thought, I'm either going to pass out or I'm going to throw up. I was just like, this is disgusting. I mean, of course I didn't do either of those things. I got control of myself and I did my job, and I don't believe I gave him any indication of the fact that I was struggling. But as I walked away, I was like, oh.
I can just imagine you like trying to stop yourself from barking over him.
Went to the toilet and I was like, what? Disgusting. I was thinking, I imagine the wound was awful. It really was. I was like, thank you very much for that. And then as I'm walking out, I'm like, Merry Christmas.
It doesn't sound that merry of a Christmas.
Well, yeah, I thought that as I'd kind of said it, but then I thought, well, actually, he survived. He is alive, so
Yeah.
it's not quite as merry as you'd hope, but at least he didn't die. He was very
Yeah.
fortunate because
Well, it sounds like it because a stab wound there that could easily have been
I think they just
fatal.
missed the artery. Yeah,
Oof, God. It sounds like
but
he was lucky.
yeah, it was that me and open wounds like that just on a living person just don't go hand in hand.
No.
Give me a dead person any day of the week.
It's because I don't know, I feel it's almost like you can see the pain and you can
You can
feel it.
feel
Like,
it.
oh, it's yeah. I'm
It's-
with you. I'd much rather injuries like that see them on someone who isn't feeling it currently
I think
than
that's the
someone
thing.
who's
You
alive.
feel it, don't you? You just like wince.
That sounds like a horrible one.
It's like, so did you just have a good night?
Up till that point, that's the other
Apart from
thing
the
as well.
stabbing,
When you, yeah,
did you
that's
have
the
a
other
nice
things
time?
as well. When you get assaults and stabbings that are involved with alcohol, your blood thinnens, or it always looks like a bloodbath. It's so
Sometimes
much
looks
worse.
worse,
Yeah, it looks horrendous.
especially if somebody takes a bash on the head. Head wounds as
Oh,
well bleed more, don't they? Well, we hope you haven't put you off your Boxing Day leftovers.
I know, yeah.
I think the nice thing about working around that time of year, though, is the camaraderie. You still have a laugh in the office. I remember us, we always put a Christmas tree up and decorations. We always decorated the office. People
Yeah,
always brought in like boxes of biscuits and tins of chocolates for everybody to share. We often
yeah.
did a secret Santa.
Yeah, that is nice, isn't it? And we still got a Christmas party. We used to cover each other's offices
Yeah,
for a
that's
night, didn't
right.
we?
Yeah.
Which I think people might be surprised about, but it's really important making sure that you've got that team morale and that support network still there, and you kind of bring each other on, don't you? So yeah, we used to have that one office would cover another office for the night so that all of the CSIs could go off and we could have a Christmas party and let our hair down, because it can be a really intense time of year to be doing this kind of work. So to be able to do that still was lovely.
Yeah. And the people that you work
Definitely.
with make a difference as well, because usually you can have a laugh and find the fun in something.
As we've said before, your colleagues understand what you're dealing with, what you're going through, and we all seem to have that same sense of humour. You can just let your hair down all together and be a team, which is nice because, again, as we've talked about before, for a lot of our jobs, you're out by yourself. Unless it's a serious crime, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So to be able to have times like that where the whole team comes together to spend some time together, I think is really important and really nice.
Yeah, I agree. Because at the end of the day, CSIs, all frontline responders are only human. And actually, while the rest of the world's celebrating, we're not anymore, but we used to, and others are out working and dealing with the tough stuff that a lot of people are sheltered from. A lot of people don't see it, which is a good thing.
Exactly.
It's a very good
It
thing. It's a
is.
fortunate thing. But there are people out there still working and dealing with this crap, no matter the time of year, really.
Yeah. Unfortunately, crime still happens. It doesn't matter when it is.
Do you have any standout jobs that stuck out for you?
Not standout ones as such. Like you say, burglaries at that time were really hard. And then that new year that the I did do a few bad assaults that day. And then there was one rape case that I worked on that was awful. But not for any reason in particular. Again, I think it probably is that time of year, people are out celebrating, having a nice time, and then these awful things happen. So there wasn't anything stand out about the particular job, if that makes sense. And I think it is just for that time of year, really, that I remember them from.
I remember one Christmas period. I was helping a new CSI. They were on my shift. I was taking them out doing some training, and we had footwear mark in snow. I know
Oh,
we've already touched upon this, but the dreaded footwear mark in snow. And I was like, oh, this will be great practice for you. Have you done it before? She hadn't. I was like, come on, I'll walk you through it. It'll be absolutely fine. Now, the snow was seemingly quite deep in most areas of this car park. For those that don't know, often what we'll try and do is set a footwear mark because there's an exothermic reaction with the casting materials that we use. And usually we use something called snow wax to do this. And it's really good snow wax because it sets it, but also it highlights it. Usually it was a brown one, wasn't it, that we used to use?
Brown or red?
Brown
and
or
a
red
one as well, which
yeah,
always looked brutal against the snow, bright red.
it did, like, didn't it? Yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
it allows you to see more detail. So we use the snow wax, we set it, then we set about making up the casting material, and then poured it, and it was great. I was like, well done, great job. I'm really chuffed with this. So it takes quite some time for a cast to set. We also use the same casting materials in sand or soil, for instance. And in the winter, the casting materials take longer to set than they do in the summer. And we've got to let them set to a certain point so that we can remove them safely. And then we'll take them away in a box and they'll harden further. But we've got to give them a certain amount of time, haven't we, so that they are rigid and they can be removed. So consequently, I was like, right, we'll leave the footwear mark, we'll let it set, we'll crack on, do whatever else we need to, come back for it and box it up. So we did that. We come back to it. Started trying to lift the footwear mark.
Oh
the
no.
cast, the footwear cast, sorry. We couldn't get it up. And I was so confused. And so we're both looking at it. We're on our hands and knees. And what had happened is that the snow actually wasn't as thick as we thought it had been. And the cast kind of seeped through. It just stuck to the car park.
Oh no! So it was attached to like the tarmac.
It was attached to the tarmac.
Oh no!
Eventually pulled it up, and like half of it came away, and the other half was stuck.
I was going to say that didn't come up in one piece, did it?
No, it was a nightmare. And bearing in mind, I was training somebody. I was like, okay, so this is an excellent lesson in what not to do. In fairness,
Perfect.
It wasn't. We did everything right, and the snow had seemed thick enough. I don't know what happened. It was so bizarre. And I was like, I think the snow's just been too thin and it's gone through. Fortunately, where the lesson really was is that I'd made sure that we'd photographed it thoroughly and also used different lighting sources.
I was just gonna say, did you do your photography before the wax?
Of course.
Of course, as a good say. Tripoded and everything.
Of course, full 1-to-1 photograph of the footwear mark. So, of course, we'd captured it in a photograph, and that really is some of the importance of why we record and photograph everything, don't we? Because sometimes in crime scene work, you literally have one opportunity to recover the evidence.
Most times.
And if you lose it, you lose it. And things do happen in various situations for various reasons. And that's a perfect example. We did things right. It just was unfortunate and stuck to the tarmac. But consequently, it was thoroughly photographed. And a photograph can be used still as evidence, can't it? Can be exhibited, and a footwear specialist can still use that 1-to-1 photograph if it's photographed thoroughly and properly.
That's the thing, isn't it? If that's the realities of this job, we're human and things happen, and sometimes crime scenes are unpredictable.
Yeah, they are.
What might look fine when you go to do something, you're like, okay. And like you say, that's why it's so important we record everything thoroughly before we do anything, because at least you've got that. Photography of footwear marks in snow, I think most CSIs get a little twitch over, don't they? Because
it's not technically easy.
It's not, because you've got to have the camera exactly at the right degree, don't you? So you can produce a 1-to-1 image. Your scale has to be on the same level as the footprint, which again, in snow, that cannot be easy, because if you just sit it on top of the snow and the footprint's indented, they're at different levels. So there's technically a lot to do with a footwear mark in snow. They are nightmares.
And then also, it's really difficult at times to see the detail in the snow because it's just pure white.
Exactly.
So you've got your lighting sources. It with your lighting source. Yeah. We used a
Challenging.
number of different lighting techniques with our flash or with our
Yeah,
torches to try and illuminate the detail.
yeah.
Unfortunately, in that instance, we had got great photographs. So I was like, that's the lesson here. This is why we photograph everything.
Photograph it all the time.
Just stood with like a shattered cast in my hand with some of it on the floor, like, oh,
Oh
shit.
God. Because then sometimes as well, though, it can be a perfect cast and you can get it in the box. And then I've never actually done this before I put this out there. I genuinely have not done this, but I have seen it happen before where someone will be dead pleased they've got the cast and then you trip or something and drop the box and all of a sudden you've got a smashed cast.
Yeah,
I have seen
I've known
someone
that
do that
happen.
before. Like, I've got this perfect
Devastated.
cast. Look at this, great smash. Oh, well, you
Absolutely,
did have.
absolutely devastated. Or as well, sometimes if you've recovered them in mud and you take them back, you have to wait quite some time, 24 hours at least, to let it really harden. So then we can start removing the mud so we can see the full cast. Because if you don't, sometimes then the cast will break when you're taking the mud off as well.
Yeah, they can, can't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
They're a side I don't miss.
I don't miss casting in snow. I actually did my degree dissertation on footwear and the amount of casting that I did. I used to love casting. It's a lot of fun. We've done it, haven't we, with kids? Like when we've done
Oh,
a
the
lot of our
kids love it.
teaching and team events, and people love it because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
they are.
but
Well,
when
when there's no pressure, and you're doing it for fun, educational reasons, perfect.
I
But
was
if you're
gonna
doing it in a
say,
scene,
it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
100%.
And you've got nothing but footwear in snow.
That's the thing. I think you get twitchy when you go to work and you see the snow coming down and you think, "Oh, great,"
Yeah.
because it's one of those things. Like, might be more difficult to get things like fingerprints in the bad weather in winter, particularly obviously outdoor scenes. But anything that's taken place outside, you're gonna get some form of footprint. Fantastic, but you're in
Great
for a
fun.
long haul and a nightmare.
Yeah, I remember another one where I lost a footwear mark. Again, I'd photographed it beforehand, so it was all good. But this wasn't, this was actually in the summer. So I'm moving away from the theme, but somebody burgled a church. Can you believe it?
Oh.
And they'd nicked the donation boxes
Yeah.
and then nicked other stuff from inside. And they'd got in by kicking the door in. And there was this beautiful footwear mark on the door. I was like, look at that. That is perfect. I'm going to have you. I was chuffed to bits. So, of course, I did all my photography. Thank goodness. The door was quite old and it had been painted, but the paint was
Oh,
quite old. And I was thinking, this is really tricky because I don't want to lose this. And our lifters for footwear can be really, really sticky, can't they?
yeah.
So I decided, because I could see the footwear mark so visibly, because I'd been able to photograph it and get such a beautiful photograph, if I do say so myself, I thought I'm going to gel lift this. So for those that don't know, we can lay down a gel lifter, and then when it goes into a scanner, even if you can't see everything on the gel lift, you can see the whole thing on the scanner, so it lifts up the particles. And also, you don't always have to powder to enhance. So because I could see so much detail, I thought I'm just going to put a gel lift down, and they're not as sticky, so
No, they're great for that.
there's less chance of any damage or material coming away. So I thought I'm going to put it on, but I'm going to put it on quite quickly and take it off so it's not got time to sit on it. And because it's hot, sometimes in the temperature, the gel can become a bit claggy, can't it? So I thought, right, this
Yeah.
needs to be a quick on-off job. No time to let the heat get to it. Let's not mess about. It's a great footwear mark. So I put the gel on and then I start peeling it off. All of the paint, the door just starts coming away. And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
no. So I'm slowing down my peeling, doing it bit by bit. Anyway, the whole gel was just covered in paint. And then there was just this big square patch in the church door. I thought, if there's a hell, I'm going to it.
Oops. You're like, sorry about that, you lovely painted door as well. You might need to repaint.
apologize. I was absolutely devastated. You know, when you're just looking, I'm looking at this gel lift and I'm like, okay. Is that priest still about? Excuse me. Of course, I had to go and tell
Bless
them
me,
what had
Father, for I
happened.
have sinned.
Yeah.
Did you go in the confession box?
I took my gel lifter in. Sad bit of evidence. I was gutted. But the upside is I did take good photographs and I did get identifications and caught the little buggers that had done it. So despite damaging the church
Brilliant.
door, which I felt dreadful about, I did catch them.
Fab. Like, who breaks into a church, man?
Scroats.
The only word we've got, scrot.
Probably shouldn't say that.
Well, no, I think people would agree.
So I did take us away from Christmas then, but it's just the technicality of the job sometimes, like even in different temperatures, like there's thinking about the heat to at that time of the year, you think about the freezing cold.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? Your knowledge and your expertise helps with all of well, apparently not at times.
No, not according to me.
Well, in 99% of cases it does, but things do happen. But on TV, when you see things happen, they just whack some powder around, whack a lifter on, and there we go, bosh, done. But the realities of it is actually there's a lot of thought goes into everything that we do to enable us to get the evidence. It's not as simple as that, is it?
No, it's not bish bash bosh, that's for sure. You do have to think about it. I mean,
You do.
In that case, I thought about it and I still got it wrong.
Brilliant. Or not.
Yeah, this seems to have turned into an episode just about my disasters, wanting to vomit over a victim.
Vomit over a victim.
Losing a footwear mark or two.
Yeah, it's come into our blunders. Me getting a van stuck and covering a policewoman.
Just to let you know, we were good CSIs at all times of year. It's like one of those little public announcements running across the bottom.
No evidence was lost in the making of this podcast. Just when Ange was doing the job.
Probably best I left.
No, the main thing is photographed. You got it. You still got that evidence. Great.
In both cases, I got ident and caught them.
That's what you want.
It is. It's just that stuff does happen. It's a tricky job sometimes, particularly in winter.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Right. I think we should probably leave it there because it is Boxing Day after all. People are enjoying the festivities, so they probably don't want to listen to us go on too much.
No.
I'm sure we've got some port to drink and cheese and Christmas cake to eat.
We'll get that Prosecco out.
Yeah, let's go.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight into the realities of what it's like working at this time of year. And for all of our frontline responders who are out there working at the minute, we hope it is the Q word for you, but we're not going to say the word. We know the rule.
Good luck. We're behind you.
We are from the warm this time, though. But thank you to everyone who's doing that job as well at this time of year, because it's a difficult job all year, but it's particularly impactful at this time of year when you're dealing with serious crimes as well. So thank you to all of our listeners who've tuned in on Boxing Day. And we will be back in a fortnight's time where we will take you back under the barrier tape.
Yeah, we will see you in 2026. Have a great
Happy New Year. Bye.